Now, Diane and I have created what we like to call our glorified campsite out here on a 5-acre chunk of land in the middle of the country, and we want to keep this a low maintenance area. And as we spin around, you'll see back behind us here, we have this nice green area right now that has a lot of bareness out there for whatever reason, years of neglect before we bought the property. And we like to keep it green as long as we can, but we don't want to irrigate it. We don't want to make it a nice lush lawn. We're not looking for the estate effect. We're looking more like a county park effect, if you will. But again, we don't want to water it all the time. We don't want to put in irrigation. We want to make it simple. So doing our research, we found out that micro clover, or clover in itself actually, requires less water to stay green and lush longer into the year. Now, as I mentioned, we have some bare spots out there that are really bad, and we don't want to put grass seed. So I think I'm going to toy around with micro clover in a couple small areas and see what happens. Let me go out there and show you what we're talking about. So if we just start right here, for example, where I was standing, you'll see out here all the bare spots. Well, again, we're not looking for a nice lush lawn, but when I mow, I don't want to mow dirt. I don't want all kinds of dust blowing up in the air. And I want it to stay green without having to water. As you see, when we do water, we drag hoses around. Well, that's not a lot of fun. So I think what we're going to toy with is, we're not going to do anything special. I'm going to come out here with a rake. I'm going to rough this up a little bit. Actually, when we bought the property, that trunk you see of that tree fell down and laid on this piece of dirt for a couple of years before we cleaned it all up. But this area here, I'm going to just scratch it with a rake. We're going to go get some micro clover seeds. We're going to overseed this small area to start with. I'm going to go ahead and water it for a couple months and see if it fills in. We're not going to go get a bunch of topsoil. We're not going to do this properly, I guess is what I'm going to say. And we're going to see how this turns out over a month or two. And if this turns out well, we'll probably carry that on. As you can see, there are bare spots all over out here. We might just kind of smooth this out. Then we might start overseeding some of this to make this a nicer area anyway. As you can see, I'm not going to walk you around everywhere, but there are bare spots and thin spots everywhere we go. But from afar, it doesn't look too good. As you look out over it, it looks nice and green. But when you walk on it, you'll see all the bare spots. In here, it's pretty nice. And all we want to do is keep it green longer. And if that turns out pretty good up there, then we'll go ahead and we will overseed all of this maybe next season. So I thought for fun you might want to follow along and see how it turns out. This is a spur-of-the-moment thing we thought about. We woke up this morning, I said, look, it's a little bit overcast. We might get a little bit of help from Mother Nature with a little bit of rain over the next 24 hours. Let's run in town, pick up some micro clover, come out here, seed it over, and just see what happens. So follow along. So for the record, we went in town, we tried to find some micro clover. We could not find micro clover anywhere in town. So what we ended up doing is going to the local Grange co-op and we picked up some white Dutch clover. Now in this area, we're not that picky about it, but we do have a project coming up in a couple weeks that we certainly want to have micro clover for, and we're probably going to order that online, and we'll show you that project as well. So the bag itself is very lacking in information, but I did a little research online for this particular product and found out that they recommend 1/4 to 1/2 pound for 1,000 square feet. 1/4 to 1/2 pound for 1,000 square feet. So I kind of figure what they're trying to say is 1/4 pound for overseeding and 1/2 pound for seeding. So that's what I'm guessing. Now because this area out here is pretty much bare, I'm going to go ahead and measure out 1/2 pound, and I don't have a spreader of any kind, so we're just going to measure it out, put it in a bowl, and I'm just going to spread it out. And then there's a pile of dirt we have at the neighbor that he's not using, and I'm going to take the lawnmower over there with our little trailer, throw some dirt in there, and I'm just going to cover that over the seeds once I get it thrown out. and water it down, and we'll go from there. Nothing scientific here. That's just the way we do things. So nothing scientific, as I mentioned, but we do have a food scale, so I weighed out the seed. I threw it in a little Tupperware bowl here. I'm just going to spread it around by hand. That's all we have, no spreaders. I'm going to go over there and load up the trailer, bring over some dirt, sprinkle it over the top of it and water it down, and then we'll see what happens from there. Keep your fingers crossed. I felt like I was feeding the chickens. And you know what? These are such fine seeds that when I put it down, it seems like it shouldn't be enough. If I went by the appearance of this, I would put down 4 times as much as I just did. But according to what they say, that should be just about right. We'll know once it starts coming up. Now, I better beat the birds. Go back and get that dirt, come back and spread it over and get it watered in. I can see the birds lining up ready for their dinner. All right, there we go. Seeds are spread. Went and got some dirt, sprinkled it over the seeds. Probably could use a little bit more dirt, but that's okay. We're gonna go with what we have. Raked it out ever so lightly. I don't know if you can see it back there, but I have the sprinkler going on it now. We're gonna water it down nicely. I don't have a timer on the hose, so for now I'm just gonna have to go turn the water on and off. No big deal. Today's nice and cool. It's late in the day, it's 5 o'clock now. And then tomorrow is going to be a relatively cool day in the 60s, low 70s. Then it's going to warm up, which will be good for the seeds to be moist and hopefully get them going. And maybe I'll find a small, inexpensive timer on Amazon somewhere, put it on the hose bib, and so I can keep this moist for the next couple weeks. And I'll probably come back 1 or 2 times and show you what this does before we leave at the end of the season. All right, so it has now been 9 days since we spread our seed in this area. Let's spin around and take a look at it. Okay, let's see if we can get down close enough where you can see it in the camera. See down there? Can you see that? Sprouts. All that, if I'm not mistaken, is clover sprouts. All through there. Right there's a bunch of it. All through here. Clover sprouts. Look at this. Oh, there's a nice patch right there. Chickens missed that one. All them blackbirds missed them. Look at that. Clover sprouts. Now, it's that way through this whole section here. All the way up here. You can't see it in this shot, I'm positive. I'll put you out there. See there? Clover sprouts. All the way up through here is the same thing. Now, sometimes I'm not very patient, and we have a lot of area to cover, and we ordered in a $80, $90 bag of mini clover to go in the back. So I went ahead and started to spread this a little bit more. I figured that our sprinkler was covering more area, so why not? So we didn't do as much work. We kind of did an overseeding on this rest of this area, and I don't think anything, so I kind of seeded in here. And I just spread it over what you see. Didn't do anything special, just in this area. We're watering it, and a little bit over here, and the sprinkler is hitting that too. So I said, well, why not? Let's just spread some seed and see what happens. But that's not coming up yet, and no surprise, that's only been a few days. Anyway, I wanted to show you, 9 days in, that's what we have going on. Now we have another area that we're going to seed with the micro clover I talked about. It's over here back behind the RV, so our glorified campsite. Let me go show you what we have going on over there. So last week we brought in probably, I don't know, 15 yards of fill, and we leveled this out. We made it a nice gradual slope off. We brought in 4 yards of topsoil, which was not enough, but nonetheless, we spread it out. We're going to make do with what we have. We're going to take care of that area down there. We will just do that next year. We're not going to mess with it this year. And we spread this pretty thin, as you can tell, with topsoil. And I think today we are going to seed this with the micro clover, and then we're going to start watering this as well. And this is really a main spot for us. This is right behind the RV, as you can see it back over here. We see this all the time. It's just been dirt since we developed this property, and we're really looking forward to making this look nice. And we brought in all that fill dirt so we can just blend right in with what grass we have over there, and I can mow it easily. And then probably next season we will go ahead and overseed the area you see over here as well, and maybe even pay a little bit of attention to this hillside. But for this year, this is going to be plenty. I mean, it is getting late in the year to where we don't want to have to water all summer. Now, we did go in town and pick up a hand spreader. Nothing's fancy, just a hand crank spreader. We wanted to do better on this project than we did out there. It was fine just broadcasting the seed with our hands out there, but here we want to use a spreader, make it more uniform, and really concentrate on a better job. We'll show you how that turns out. So we're now 18 days since the initial planting of the seeds. Let's spin around. I'll show you what it looks like now and tell you about what I've done. So that's the main area we were focused on. And I'm going to point out the areas that are 18 days in right now. And you're going to see some small stuff in here, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. So this area up here where you see the more clumpy and larger clover, that is from 18 days ago. And you're going to see a lot of weeds in here. But remember, we did this, I said this is kind of we're going to overseed this whole area. This is not that important to us. It's not going to be a lawn type effect. We're just filling in the bare spots. But you can see how the clover has been growing in 18 days. And you can also see a lot of bare spots. Well, obviously by hand broadcasting, or the way I like to describe it, the chicken feed method, it's not very uniform. It leaves a lot of bare spots. Now, you might see some things growing smaller. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But I just want to show you through all the clover that's been growing from 18 days ago, which is a huge improvement over what it was before, because this was all just simply bare dirt. Look at that. It's filling in nicely. All through there. It looks really good. But yeah, that hand broadcasting or chicken feed method is not the best, but it serves a purpose. All right, so now let me tell you what I did. So after I did that 18 days ago, a few days in, we started a second project. And when we started that second project, I bought a hand crank spreader for that project so it would be more uniform. At the same time I came out here, I did overseed this a little bit with seed in this area. So that was like 9 days ago. And then yesterday, at this point, I went through and got my rake out, and I kind of roughed up the dirt in the bare spot areas, and actually even around. You can kind of see where it's darker. I've been watering this morning, and I took some more seed, put it in our hand crank, and I kind of went over this again with the hand crank and what seed we had left, and then we're going to water that in too, and it'll eventually all fill in. So anyway, this is 18 days in. I'll come back in another 9 days or so and show you where we're at again. So as of today, we are now 27 days since we planted this seed. Let's take a look. All right, so how's it look from here? At an angle, like we're standing right now, it looks kind of green. You can still see spots, no doubt, but it looks greener, right? You don't just have that big old brown bare spot. I need to get more water out in here. It's pretty sparse. I haven't been taking care of it the way I should, but it's looking pretty good. I mean, we have spots we have to fill in, no doubt, but it's growing. And it's growing over here where I kind of did that overseeding. It's picking up out here in this area too, which I wasn't expecting a whole lot to happen. But look at that. Again, we have a lot to fill in, but boy, compared to what it was before, so much better. And even out here, this is going to help the appearance. Look over there. That doesn't look too bad. Now for the record also, because the rest of the lawn was getting so tall, well, I shouldn't call it a lawn. That area was getting so tall, and there was a bunch of weeds growing in here. I told you before that we didn't plan to not have weeds growing. We knew it was going to happen. So I did run the mower over this whole area today. I moved the sprinkler out and I mowed this whole area this morning. Take a look, not too bad. Over here, and the overseeding, we have some growing out here. It's kind of hard to see, I know, in the video, I'm sure. Look at that, the batches that are really growing, looks good. What do you think? I know, far from a professional job, but it just fills it in. And then we're gonna do the same thing. Eventually we'll just fill in all these bare spots that you see around here. Will all be filled in with clover. And I'll just do them a little at a time because we don't have a sprinkler system out here, as I mentioned. So we're kind of at the mercy of our hoses and sprinklers that we have and moving it by hand. So 27 days into this one, and I'm doing a separate video on what we're doing out back, and that's actually 18 days into that, and that's the mini clover, or micro clover it's called. You have to check that video out when you have a chance. But anyway, that's what it looks like now. I'll probably do 1 or 2 more updates on it, then we'll call it good. So it seems like real life kind of stepped in the way, and I forgot to do some of my weekly updates on this project. So right now we're at just about 9 weeks in from the time that we scratched dirt here and planted those seeds. As you can see behind me, there's some green back there. Let me spin you around and show you what it looked like now. So this is where we pretty much stood when we started this video. As you can see, it still stayed pretty brown down here. A little bit of overseeding that never really kicked in. And as you can see up here, it has gotten greener. Let's walk up and take a look. We did throw a little extra around. Remember, a few days later after I did this, I spread some more out here. You can see that kind of kicked in. There's still quite a few bare spots here. And compared to our project around behind the coach, which you'll see in the next video, I'm really surprised at how low growing this clover is compared to what is called a micro clover that we planted back behind the coach. Now, a lot of bare spots here. I need to still do some reseeding, but as I mentioned, what we plan on doing is when it gets fall. So right now, I mentioned also earlier in the video that come late June and stuff, all that area out there is going to be brown. Well, we are late June right now, and I've been watering this and watering that out there almost every day. And as you can see, even with all the watering, it's turning brown. There is no beating it. So once we get into early July, I'm going to stop watering out there pretty much. I am still going to go ahead and water this where we planted this new clover. I want to give it a good chance all summer. And then before we leave the area in October to head south, we're going to overseed this whole area and just hope for the best. So I'm not overly disappointed in what we have here. Like I said, we didn't give it the best chance in the world. All I did, went out there with the rake and kind of broke up the dirt a little bit, threw some seeds out by hand, started putting some water to it. Oh, we did go over and get some soil from the neighbors, which wasn't really very good soil. It wasn't even considered topsoil at all. So it really didn't give this a very good chance, but hey, it's still greener than what it was before, right? You saw the before and after now. And then this fall, before we take off, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and just put a whole bunch of seed out there and let Mother Nature do its thing. And hopefully next season, it'll grow and we can water it and it'll stay greener, maybe even farther into July and maybe even August. We'll see. All right, well, hey, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, have a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, consider subscribing, and be sure to watch for one of the upcoming videos on the project we did behind the coach back there. It's really interesting to see what a little preparation difference can make, because this is just regular old white Dutch clover. It's supposed to be tall growing, everything like that. And as you can see, it's pretty low growing right now, not really a deep green. Back behind the fifth wheel, it's incredible. We planted it a week later, but we did better preparation, and it is 5 times this tall and 5 times greener. So watch for that video coming up. As soon as I finish this one, I will go shoot the last video of what it looks like now, and I'll be editing that video, and it'll be coming up soon after this one airs. All right, again, thumbs up button, thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. Leave us a comment. Go ahead and tell us how poor of a job we did here. I can take it. Have a great day. See you in the next video.